Good morning and welcome to Ask the Expert, an award-winning daily series from 8:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. to help small businesses. If you have any questions, ask them in the comments of the live feed. And if you need more advice, join the official Intuit QuickBooks SMB community group on Facebook. Accountants and business experts are on hand 24/7. During the live session, we will be running a poll, so please do engage with it and I'll reveal the results at the end. So firstly, let me introduce myself to you. My name is Michelle Flynn and I run Michelle Flynn Coaching. I am a health coach and a CBT practitioner. And what does that actually mean? What is a health coach? So ultimately, I support people to help them fix their lives, to find balance with wherever there is imbalance. And yes, I do talk about food and exercise because that's really important, but it is so much more than that. Because if we are out of sync with our work, that's probably going to impact our sleep, which will therefore impact whether we have the energy to exercise. And maybe if we're having some challenges at home, that's going to be impacting our mental health, which is going to therefore be impacting our food choices. So ultimately, everything is completely interlinked. And I really focus on lifestyle as medicine. Because yes, medicine is great when we absolutely need it, but it shouldn't always be the first place that we go. And I work one-to-one, I work with corporates, I do talks, I do employee assistance programs, because ultimately I just want to get people living healthier, happier and longer lives. So firstly, before I start asking the questions, I just want to talk about mental health. On Sunday just gone, it was World Mental Health Day. And that's where we just take a bit of time to think about mental health, think about our own mental health. Because in those moments when we're really struggling, it's often really hard to actually know what to do about it. When we're having those blue days and we wake up and we just aren't feeling like we want to get out of bed, how do we help ourselves feel better? It's about having a toolkit. It's about almost having a physical little box of things that you go into so that you know if you are feeling stressed and you want to feel calm, what to actually do to help make you feel calm. Do you even know what makes you feel calm? What makes you feel good? So one thing I often get my clients doing is to develop a calm list, a physical list of things that make them feel better. And that could be things like listening to your favorite song. So playing Stevie Wonder loud and dancing around the lounge. That could be having a bath in the evening if you've got a little bit longer, going for a walk, getting out in nature, phoning a friend. If you don't know what makes you feel calm, then how are you meant to know what to do when you're feeling stressed? So that's really thinking about your own mental health and a really quick way to help yourself by creating that list. But then it's also about other people, because actually when you're struggling, it's really hard to get out of bed, go for that run, or even make that phone call to maybe the likes of Mind, the Samaritans or Calm. So it's often the people who love those people who need to be the people basically providing the support, helping that person do the things that is going to make them feel better. So I really want to recommend a book to you. This is a book, it's by Matt Haig, it's called Reasons to Stay Alive. My husband gave me this book because my husband openly talks about the fact that he is in recovery from mental injuries. And I'll be completely honest, I didn't really understand mental health. I've been very fortunate. I haven't had any difficulties. So before I read this book, I very much used to think, pull your socks up, pull yourself together. Many people think that way. I know I'm not alone, and I don't mean it to sound harsh and uncaring. It was just the fact that I hadn't got the experience. But when he got me to read this book, suddenly it was an eye-opener because I realized it doesn't work that way. And there's a great quote in the book that says, trying to explain depression to someone who hasn't struggled is like trying to explain Earth to an alien. And that's how I felt. I didn't understand it, but now I do. And now I know this isn't about, oh, come on, pull yourself together. This is about helping him, making sure that he does those things on his calm list. So check that book out. So not only is it good for the person who is struggling themselves to know that they are not on their own, because if you're listening to me now and you do feel like you have that dark cloud over you, you are not alone. But also for those of you who are loving those people, you are not alone either. Don't go through this on your own. Reach out for support. Talk to people. whether that is your friends or your family, or if you feel like you can't talk to people around you, there are professionals that can help. As I mentioned earlier, Calm, Mind, the Samaritans, Papyrus are all amazing charities to help people. So it's really important. So what I'm actually just going to ask you to do quickly now, and this might seem a little bit odd whilst I'm on live, but I want you to pick up your phone. I want you to think about someone that you love, that you care about. It might be a family member, it might be a friend, could be a work colleague. Someone that you just want to say thank you to, or to let them know that you care. So literally now, pick your phone up, think of that person, send them a quick message. Don't worry, I'm not going to be upset that you're on your phone. Send them that quick message that says, hey, good morning, I'm thinking of you. Or hello, thank you so much for what you did yesterday to help me out. Because that message literally could save a life. I personally know a gentleman who was not having a very good day, and he was really considering his options. And then he got a text from a friend saying, hello, mate, how are you? So send that message. Send it now. What are you waiting for? Pick the phone up. You literally could make somebody's day. We don't know what others are going through at the moment, and just that little moment of dropping in could make all the difference. So now that you've sent that message, I just want us to do a quick little breathing exercise. Anyone who's ever been on my talks before will know that I love to breathe. It's our superpower. And actually, I'm a bit nervous this morning, so I need a bit of breathing to calm my nerves. And the superpower of your breath is that it resets our nervous system. It reduces our stress hormone, that adrenaline feeling that we get when we're anxious, that heart racing. Slowing your breathing down physically changes those symptoms that we have. As we breathe in, our heart opens up to accept blood. As we breathe out, our heart pushes the blood out. So that means by controlling your breathing, you are actually controlling your heart rate. Who would have thought it? So I just want you to sit up straight, and we're just going to do a few deep breaths in and out. We're not going to go into any breathwork gymnastics. If you want to know about that, you can contact me afterwards. We are going to do some really simple deep breaths in and deep breaths out. This is all through the nose. The nose was here for breathing. The mouth is for eating and for talking. It is not part of our respiratory system. So close your mouth, focus on your nose. If you want to close your eyes, absolutely do that. But I just want you to relax for a moment. And I just want you to take a big deep breath in through your nose. I want your belly to expand as you're breathing in, almost like a rubber ring inflating around your waist. And then I want you to breathe out through your nose. Big, long, deep breath out. So breathe in for a count of 4. Breathe out for a count of 4. In for 4. Out for 4. In. Out. Just keep doing that for another moment. As you do that, almost imagine yourself on a swing. As you breathe in, that swing is going forward. Remember when you were a kid and you'd be on the swings? As you breathe out, that swing is going backwards. So breathe in, swing forward. Breathe out, swing backwards. Just 2 more of those in and out, and then we'll start to answer your questions. Slowly just bring yourself back to your normal breathing. You can wiggle your fingers and your toes if they feel a bit fuzzy. That's just you oxygenating your body. You have oxygenated your brain, so you should start to think more clearly today. You have re-energized your body. You have reset those stress hormones. So you should feel a slight sense of calm. That was only for a minute or 2, so you can do this for as long as you need. You can keep doing it the whole way through I'm answering these questions, or if you're listening to this video on catch up, just keep breathing. So let's start with the questions. I'm going to start with Muna on Twitter direct message. As a business owner, should I be offering wellbeing programs to my staff to maintain a balanced life outside of work, like yoga or meditation classes, for example? I would absolutely say yes. The more that a business owner looks after their team physically and mentally, the better that person is going to perform at work. So, although, yes, it is an extra expense, although there is lots of free stuff online as well, by providing that service, by providing that time during the day, maybe it's a Friday afternoon yoga class where everybody is, it might be in lunchtime, it might be during the working hours, whatever works for your business. Introducing people to things like yoga, like meditation, like breath work, are all going to help those people find a space, find a way of creating calm within themselves. So you're giving them the tools to be stronger, to be more mentally resilient, which, yes, is great for them personally, but is also brilliant for them professionally. It's going to reduce the number of sick days. I became a health coach because I was getting sick. And it wasn't because of anything medically related. It was because I was stressed. I was taking about a week, a month off work ill. And as soon as I understood that it was stress, and then I started working on how to cope with that stress, I stopped getting sick. So what a benefit to my business, but also to myself. So I absolutely think that business owners should be doing whatever they can. And it is different with each business. It does depend on budget and times. But check out Yoga with Adrian on YouTube. It's free. Maybe you want to look at giving access to the Calm app to all of your employees. Or on YouTube, there's some great free meditation classes. Or, of course, there are people like myself that can actually help build out programs for you to work out what is the best thing for your team. Moving on to Ali at Instagram direct message. Hi, Michelle. I'm prone to getting lost in negative thought spirals that I end up projecting on those around me. How can I find the energy and willpower to focus on positive thoughts? I completely get that. It's those what ifs, isn't it? Those what ifs are always negative. What if this goes wrong? What if I don't get the job? What if my kid doesn't get into the school that I want them to go to? We always assume the worst. And this is where cognitive behavioral therapy is really powerful. It's a fantastic tool for helping you reframe your thoughts. So you take that negative thought. Let's say that negative thought is, I'm not good enough, which is one we often have. And then we look at the evidence to suggest we're not good enough. Actually, there's probably not a lot of evidence to suggest that. We then look at the evidence that suggests the alternative, that you are good enough. Often that list can be really long. And it doesn't stop that negative thought coming into our minds, but what it does is it prepares us. So when we are hit with that thought, we're able to go, now hang on a minute, I know I'm good enough because there is all this evidence. So CBT is a really good tool to do that. I would also suggest doing some breathing exercises because it opens up the part of our mind where we think rationally. Our prefrontal cortex is where we make all our decisions. And yet when we are stressed and anxious and overwhelmed, that part of our brain switches off. So by slowing our breathing down, doing some breath work, some meditation, some mindfulness, it actually switches that part of our brain back on. It re-energizes our body so we are able to think more clearly. Another thing I would suggest is I always imagine Muhammad Ali stood in front of a mirror and he's not letting negative thoughts come in. He is going to be fully speaking positive to himself. So sometimes it's like, get in front of the mirror and tell yourself you're brilliant. The more you tell yourself that you are a good person, a funny person, a loved person, the more you are actually going to start to believe it. I'm moving on to Elaine on Facebook Messenger. Hi, Michelle. I'm in my 60s now and all the lockdown restrictions, restricted my mobility quite a lot. I find I'm less able to move around now. I'm worried about regaining muscle mass and this has caused some anxiety about going outside. What should I do? So start small, Elaine. Start with some simple stretches. I mentioned earlier Yoga with Adrian on YouTube. It's all free. Check her out. She's a brilliant woman who has lots of different classes available. And it would be a great way to start getting you moving at home. So before you putting the pressure on yourself to go outside, let's get you moving at home. Get you doing some gentle stretches. There are other things like Qigong. or Tai Chi, which are sort of Chinese and Japanese movements, very, very slow, but are all about actually starting to get function happening in our bodies again. So start slow. Don't put the pressure on yourself to be getting outside. Maybe you've got some tins of beans in the cupboard that you could do some sort of little gentle muscle movements with to start to regain that muscle mass. We often assume we have to be lifting crazy heavy weights and running marathons. We don't. Just some simple sort of stretches from side to side and back and forward. Just some simple little neck movements can start to get the mobility. But yoga, Tai Chi and Qigong are all brilliant for people who don't have as much movement to actually start to get some mobility going on. I hope that's helped. Jackson on Instagram, direct messenger. Hey there, I'm conscious we're approaching colder times. How do you avoid catching colds or other illnesses as much as possible in the winter months? Oh, isn't there that winter cold going around? Everyone I'm speaking to at the moment has got that cold. The biggest thing you got to do is you've got to absolutely boost your immune system. And there are many ways to do that. The first, and one of the most obvious, is through what you eat. What you put in your body, what then moves through to your gut, is going to help your immune system, because 70% of your immune system actually sits in your gut. So if you are putting processed foods and refined sugars into your body, that is not going to be helping your immune system. You need to be eating a lot of plants. So I'm talking about fruit, veg, nuts, seeds, whole grains, and legumes. And we all know the government guidelines of 5 fruit and veg a day. That is not actually enough, I'm afraid. The magic number is 10. 2 fruit, because fruit is brilliant for us, but it is high in natural sugars. 8 vegetables. So start to look at where you can introduce more of those into your foods. So if you have cereal for breakfast, maybe you could chop a banana and put that on the top, or add some berries. If you are having a sandwich for lunch or some soup, maybe you could have a salad on the side. If for dinner you are having chicken and chips, add some peas or some broccoli or some what else? Spinach. Start to increase the numbers of the plants that you are eating, because you are going to boost your immune system. Getting in those vitamin C, which comes from fruit and veg. We all know that vitamin C is good for keeping us nice and healthy. Other things, get enough sleep. Sleep is key. What do the animals do in winter? They hibernate, they sleep. When it starts to get darker earlier, our bodies are meant to work in line with nature and the sun, and that's not what happens. We have the fake lights on, we have the screens, we think that we should stay up as late as we do in the summer, and we shouldn't. We need more sleep in the winter because our body is having to work harder to fight the illnesses. So think about getting some more sleep, eating some more plants, rehydrating a lot with water. Our bodies are mainly made up of water, so if we're dehydrated, that's not good for us. And then sort of ultimately, if you know that you've got a friend that's got a cold, maybe avoid them for a little bit, let them recover, maybe send them a fruit basket, so that you can focus on your own well-being there. Moving on to Dylan on Twitter direct message. Do you have any tips to help with fatigue after a good night's sleep? I get 6 hours of sleep every night at least, but still feel tired most of the day. Firstly, Dylan, I'm sorry to say this, you're not getting enough sleep. You need to be getting at least 7 to 9 hours. By getting 6 hours, and I know you have said 6 at least, so you might be getting more, but by getting 6 hours, you are cutting off a whole sleep cycle. We have 5 sleep cycles a night, and in each of those cycles, our body does something different in terms of recovery. Physically, our cells, our tissues, our organs are healing whilst we sleep. Also, our brain is clearing itself out of the toxins that have built up. So if instead of having 5 sleep cycles, you're having 4, you're cutting out 20% of your recovery time. So the first thing is increase the amount of sleep you are getting. The second thing is you might not be getting down into the deep sleep, which is where we really get that restoration. The 4 things that prevent us sleeping deeply: number 1, stress. We all know that when we're super stressed, we've got a lot on our plate, it's hard to sleep. Breath work is brilliant for stress. Number 2, alcohol. It's a sedative, it's not a sleep aid. So when we are drinking alcohol, we don't get into the deep sleep. Caffeine. Caffeine is a stimulant. It stops us sleeping properly. It creates the same feelings in our body as stress. So my tip with caffeine, don't have any after lunchtime. Allow it to get out of your body before bedtime. And the 4th thing that can stop us getting into deep sleep is a snoring partner. And there are many ways to solve snoring. I won't go into them here because that's a very specific thing. But if anyone wants to know about snoring and how to stop it, do drop me a note. But 2 ways: get more sleep, focus on the quality of your sleep, and hopefully that should help you wake up with some energy. Kerry on Facebook Messenger. In lockdown, I went on a bit of a health kick and cut out sugary foods. Now I'm back in the office, that's all gone downhill. There seems to be birthdays, anniversaries, or events every week, and that means cake all the time. That's so true. What should I do? I have a 10-minute rule, is that when I'm in an office and there is cake going around, my immediate answer is no. No, thank you. And I look the other way. Because let's be honest, if we're looking at cake and we're allowing ourselves to imagine eating the cake, we're going to eat the cake. And then in 10 minutes, if I still want the cake, I can go and get some. Now, the chances are in 10 minutes, I've forgotten all about the cake. I've forgotten the fact that there's a really nice sort of bit of carrot cake going around because I've busied myself with my day. If in 10 minutes I still really want the cake, I have it and I really enjoy it. So firstly, say no. And if you're concerned about that feeling rude because it's a celebration, it is okay to say to people, thank you very much, I'll join you in the celebration, but I'm just not going to eat the cake. Because let's say if you were allergic to egg and there was egg in the cake or dairy or gluten, you wouldn't eat the cake to be polite, would you? Because you'd be allergic to it. You'd say, no, thank you. The same goes, put that boundary up, explain to your colleagues that actually you're on a bit of a health kick, not having sugary foods has made you feel really good. So absolutely you will toast the celebration, but you're not going to do it with the cake. And maybe people might start to bring in some different celebratory treats. Maybe they might start to bring in some fruit, or maybe they might start to make things that are a little bit healthier. You can make some fantastic sugar-free snacks now, sugar-free brownies using much more natural ingredients like cacao. So there are ways of still having fun. Hope that helps. Ivan on Twitter Direct Messenger. What are some warning signs I might be experiencing seasonal depression at work? Wow, this is coming, isn't it? The dark mornings are kicking in. Firstly, you start to notice that you don't have the energy that you used to have, even though everything else is the same. If you're obviously not getting enough sleep or if you're not eating as well as you would, then you can put it to that. But if everything else is the same and you're just feeling like you don't have as much energy, maybe you don't want to socialize as much, you start to feel a little bit more introverted rather than if you're normally an extrovert. Obviously, if you're usually an introvert, that's not necessarily an obvious sign. But you start to feel like you don't really want to be around people. You're starting to feel like everything is a bit more difficult. You start to not look after yourself as much. So I know that we've all done this during lockdown when we've been working at home. Often there are days, let's be honest, that we don't even shower because you're not going anywhere. But those sort of introducing the positive habits, showering, getting dressed out of your pajamas, drinking the water, eating the vegetables to compensate for the fact that it is cold and it is dark. One thing I would say is please try and get daylight first thing in the morning. I know that's now a little bit later, first thing in the morning, than there's lovely 5 o'clock sunrises, but we need daylight because it activates our hormones. When we wake up, our body has been producing melatonin, which is our sleep hormone. When we see daylight, it activates against our retinas. It turns off the sleep hormone and it turns on our day hormone, serotonin. So we need that daylight. So people who are getting out of bed, going straight to their desks, in their living room, in their office, wherever it is, and they're not getting daylight, you are going to feel much more tired. You are going to struggle a lot more with the darkness that is coming over the winter months. So get your cup of coffee, your cup of tea, whatever your morning routine is, get outside. If you've got a garden, a balcony, a front doorstep, whatever it is, 5 minutes of daylight is going to make all the difference to try to offset that seasonal depression. But the warning signs that you just don't start to feel yourself, keep a little check-in. I often do a little bit of a life MOT. There's 20 sections of my life that I look at and I rate them. And at the moment, they are a bit lower because my routine for the last 6 weeks has been completely out of sync. So all of the parts of my life just feel a bit out of balance. But now that I've gone through and done that exercise, I know what I need to change. And actually, one of the quickest ways for me to change those to more positive is to get off my phone, because that gives me more time to read books, have baths, do those things on my calm list. Jacinta on Instagram Messenger. I've been so good for my mental health being able to go. It's been so good for my mental health being able to go out and see people. However, a few of my friends are still quite paranoid about leaving the house. I fear this might become a habit for them. How do I encourage a friend out of lockdown? I have definitely seen this. People who just are nervous, whether it's nervous about catching COVID or whether it's just about the fact that they're not used to being around people. The first thing I would suggest is if they're happy for you to go to theirs, and maybe if they've got a garden or a balcony, taking them outside of their house, but not necessarily out onto the street, and just getting them used to being back outside. Not trying to sort of move them too quickly. So giving them a chance to sort of one step at a time, maybe meeting you, not trying to take them to a coffee shop or a restaurant or the cinema, just trying to come out for a walk with you, accepting sort of that they are feeling nervous about that and they might just want to kind of do that a bit slowly, but also talking to them, asking them how they feel. See what it is that they're worried about, listen to them, because as they start to open up and they start to hear what they're saying, they might actually realize that they are doing this and that it's something that they need to change, because at the moment they might not even be aware that this is a habit that they have suddenly created. And habits are built on a feeling of success. So if they're feeling success and comfortable in their own home, that can be the habit. So we now need to help them build that new habit. Lastly, here on the questions, Jennifer on Instagram direct message. I've been very stressed at work lately as I seem to be working longer hours every day. This has started affecting the quality of work and I'm making lots of mistakes. How should I deal with it? Firstly, have a look at why you're working longer hours. Is this something that is your boss is expecting? If that is, you should talk to your boss about how that's impacting you. If that's something that it's actually your choice to work the longer hours, why is that? Is that because you're maybe not using your time as efficiently as you should? Maybe you could be delegating tasks to other members of the team. I don't obviously know what work you're in and whether that's possible. But looking at how you spend your day, I've actually got a 15-minute planner that I use with people to work out exactly how they spend their day. Because often we're wasting time in the day that we could be using to get our job done to therefore get our evening back. So be realistic about how you're spending your time. Are you managing it wisely? Are you using it efficiently, to try and find some balance? If it is that actually your work is putting more pressure on you and you need more help, then definitely speak to your boss. So I've now got the poll results that are in. We asked you, do you know what makes you feel calm when you're having a difficult day? And I talked at the beginning about the calm list, which was why we put this poll in. So little drum roll. 20% of you said, yes, I know what makes me feel calm and I do it. 70% of you said, yes, I know, but I don't do it. And 10% of you said, no, I don't know. That's really interesting that actually lots of you know what you're meant to be doing, but for whatever the reason is, you're just not doing it. So if you are one of those people, then if you're not able to do it on your own, find someone else to hold you accountable. Let your partner know what the things are on your calm list. And if you start to feel like you're having a little bit of a moment, they can come and hand you a book or put you outside to sort of get some fresh air. Get that support. If it's going for a run, join a running club or a walking club, or if it's meditation, join a class so that you're accountable to going to those things. For those 10% of you who don't know, write that calm list. Write down those things that make you feel calm, because as soon as you become aware of it, you are back in control. So thank you all for tuning in. If you want to get in contact with me, you can go to my website, which is www.michelleflynncoaching.com, where I can send you any of the resources that I've mentioned on here. But coming up tomorrow on Ask the Expert is Lucy Johnson, accountant and founder of Isle Bookkeep. Tune in to have accounting and bookkeeping terminology and jargon explained. And a reminder that if you need more advice, join the official Integrative QuickBooks SMB community group on Facebook. Accountants and business experts are on hand 24/7. I've really enjoyed answering your questions this morning. Have a great day.